We're recording. There we go. So, hello to everyone that is watching this client interview. You're with Noor here. I run the operations side of EasyGrow. And today I'm joined by another one of our clients who has absolutely smashed it with us within the space of, I think, 5 months, right, Jameel?
Yeah, it's been about
five
four or five
months now.
months.
So, yeah, Jameel, just to kickstart, this interview here, why don't you let the people watching know who you are, who you serve, and what transformation you deliver?
Absolutely, yeah. So, obviously, name's Jameel. Run a marketing agency tailored towards real estate agents. So what I do is I serve real estate agents pretty much anywhere at this point. We've got clients all over the place, but primarily the US. We know the market well. And essentially what we do for these estate agents is help them build out pipelines, help them, have deals on the line for 3 months, 6 months down, as well as trying to get them immediate closings as well. So essentially helping them with marketing, helping them with their nurturing side, and then also doing a little bit of appointment booking, live transfers, all that good stuff as well. So it's kind of a full service, I guess a full service agency on that side for real estate agents. And we have like different services now and different packages that they can get into. So, we've opened it up now that I've built out a little bit of a team. We've got a bit more bandwidth to do a little bit more than I guess, what the average just running Facebook ads and stuff like that would look like.
Yeah, love it, man. And just to paint a picture for the people that are watching this,
Yeah.
um, where were you before revenue wise when you joined, and where are you now?
Yeah, for sure. So I joined EasyGrow at around, it was around 5K, somewhere around 5K a month. And that was just a couple of clients that I'd signed up by myself. After being with EasyGrow now for about 4 or 5 months, scaled this to, we've just gotten over about 25. We're reaching quite close to 30K. So there's a few signups in the line. As soon as they've just paid, then we'll probably be at 30 very soon as well.
Yeah, there we go. And again, I'll preface this to people watching. We'll probably do a part two when Jameel smashes 50K and beyond or something. So
For sure.
we'll talk again soon. But in terms of, the program, Jameel, like before you joined, right, what specifically were you struggling with? How did things look and what really made you take the jump?
Definitely. So when I was starting off, I was doing this completely by myself. I don't have a business partner. I don't have, at the time, I didn't have a huge team or anything like that. It was just me by myself, just literally me and a laptop. And the problem is with that is that there's no kind of point of reference you can really go to when you need help. So like when it comes to sales is something that I've always had kind of as a skill set. So that came quite naturally, but it was more so systems of how to actually build a business. That's kind of key things that I was looking for when I was joining. So when it comes to scaling from 5K a month to 20K a month, or even just from 5K to 15K, you need to have systems in place and there needs to be operational changes. And that's what I was looking for. And that's kind of what EasyGrow came in clutch for overall for me.
Yeah, love it, man. And talk to me about the program and overall, like the general flow of it from your perspective. Like when you
Yeah,
joined on day one, right?
absolutely.
How did you approach things to just really get the ball rolling?
Yeah, definitely. So like when when I joined day one, it was like a ton of information. So the one thing that I do really appreciate about the program is how in depth and in detail it is. Like, there's videos like hours and hours long, and it goes into excruciating amount of detail, covers every base that you could probably think of. And so that's what I really liked about it. From the jump, that was the first impression I got. It was like, yes, this is detail. And I'm a very detail oriented like guy. So, when I watch these short little videos, I've always got questions. So it's like this completely satisfied any questions that I had. That's why didn't, and then you've got the coaching calls on top of it as well. But immediately as soon as I came in, the depth that these videos go into, the amount of resources that are available, the community there as well comes in clutch when, maybe there's something niche specific that you need help with. And overall, the flow of the program itself is very linear. So what I like about it is that it does start you from ground zero. And basically it takes it from an approach of if you've got zero experience in the agency space or in this online space, we're going to show you the fundamentals and then build on top of that. And that's what I like about it. And everything gets more and more advanced as you go along. So you're not just thrown a ton of information and you get kind of analysis paralysis, just sat there trying to figure out everything. It's nice and linear, so it comes in bite-sized portions.
And in terms of just going through the program and ultimately starting to slowly scale, Jameel,
Yeah,
was there anything in particular that really triggered your growth? Because like you said there's loads of things to, pull apart from the program. But I
yeah,
noticed within the past couple of months, there's just new clients signed, new
yeah.
revenue added, etc., etc. Like, was there anything in particular that really just flipped the switch for you?
100%, yeah. So it was like when I joined, I'd already had a few clients. So I already had basic foundations in place. I already had like a sales process. I already had, the backend CRM and a few other systems like that set up. The thing that mainly was a turning point for me was, other outbound systems, like like scaling on top of what I already had. So the problem is when you're just doing it as one person, eventually you're going to have some sort of like, you're going to reach some sort of max bandwidth of what you can do. There's only so many sales calls I can do in a day, right? But if I get outbound systems in place where I've got maybe now I don't need to do the cold calls myself anymore. Now I've got a team of setters, right? So at this point now we've got a team of setters. So I don't have to do cold calling myself anymore. I just focus on the most important parts, which is closing the deal. So the sales side of things. Then I focus on client retention. I can focus on the business now rather than having a spreadsheet with me and just dialing all day. And the difference was that the main turning point for me was that this program showed me how to move away from working like in the business all the time to now working on the business and allowing it to scale and grow, right? And giving, watering it the way that it needs to be in order to flourish. So that was the main thing for me. And it was helping me build out systems, helping me build out sales teams, what kind of stuff to provide them, how to even, incentivize these people to stick around. Because like a lot of our setters that I signed from 3 months ago, they're still with me now. And, I would say that's purely, down to the way that I've structured it because of the program and stuff as well, and the way that it comes to advise you on those things. So yeah, those were key turning points for me.
Yeah, I love it. And just from what you said there, that's like the most common problem people face. And I know you've
Yeah,
probably seen it with like other clients as well, where
yeah,
you're around that 5K month mark, you got a bit of momentum,
of
you're
course.
doing everything. It's like you're a bit of an octopus within your
Yeah,
agency where
yeah,
like sales, fulfillment, fires,
yeah.
branding,
Oh yeah,
social media content, lead sourcing,
yeah. It's
cold calling. It's like,
something
yo,
new. Yeah,
what is going on? And it's not like you're a business owner, you're owned by the business.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you're an employee of the business, and just
Yeah,
getting those systems in place and just some structure and the right people, it just lets you breathe and, like you
of
said,
course.
focus on the more important areas.
Definitely, yeah. And it's like I always think of it like this analogy. It's like you're trying to escape the rat race, right? You're trying to get away from the rat race, and what ends up happening is you end up becoming a rat in your own race,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
It's your own hamster wheel that you're just running around on, and it's just like it's still better than being, out there stuck in in a 9 to 5 or whatever. It's way more freedom because you can set your own. But
yeah.
realistically, you're still working immense like hours and stuff like that, and until you manage to find a way to move away from that, that's when you start to scale. That's when you actually start to scale because you're more limited by just carrying out these mundane tasks every day. Like cold calling was my biggest thing. That was taking up a chunk of my day, just setting
Mm,
my own meetings and stuff. The minute I moved away from that, that's when we started like scaling much quicker because now it's an automated way of just getting bookings in, right? So yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
That's exactly it. And yeah, I think when you're like a business owner, and obviously Jameel, you and clients would know this more than anyone,
Yeah.
maybe you're guilty of surrendering to the fact that, oh, it's okay, I work all these hours, I'm a
Yeah.
business owner and whatnot. And maybe
Yeah.
some of your friends and peers that are in corporate 9 to 5, you may be looking at them and you're like, wow, this guy's got some healthy work-life
I
balance
I
where
know,
they're
bro.
actually happy.
There isn't one. In the beginning, at least for me, there wasn't
Yeah,
one. It
yeah,
was just
yeah,
every
yeah,
single day, bro. Like I'm talking 6, 7 days a week. I wouldn't even take days off really. Even on Sundays, I was cold calling.
yeah.
I used to do after 12 o'clock though, because they've got church right in America and stuff. So a lot of
Mm,
places will be. So after 12 o'clock, then I would do some cold calling. And real estate's one of those where they're working 24/7 anyway.
yeah,
So it wasn't too bad. But it's like when a family member hits you up and they're like, "Oh, yo, are you coming down?" Or a friend hits you up and you're like, "No, no,
yes,
I'm working." It's just like you get really bogged down by just being stuck in your own system, and that's the main thing that the
that's
biggest
it.
thing that I was able to kind of move away from.
Yeah, I love it, man. And it's something that's become normalized. Like,
Mm.
working 7 days. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
you
you
don't
don't
have
need,
to. You really
guys.
don't need to, bro.
To everyone watching this, I won't
Yeah,
lie. I always mention this. to people that do watch the interviews I host, yes, you need to work hard and whatnot, but this
Yeah.
7 days a week, 20, 20 hours or something,
Oh
that's
yeah,
you don't have to
it
do
doesn't
that.
need to be like that. It doesn't need to be like that forever. You know, it might be
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that in the beginning, but it doesn't have to stay like that. That's the key
yeah.
thing. So yeah,
100%. So, Jameel, talk to me, man. With regards to, how you were scaling up,
yeah.
was it cold calling that really the only strategy that you used, or was there anything else?
There was DMs, and then
Nice.
the main way was cold calling, right? So in real estate, at least, um, DMs are great. I like them. We were doing LinkedIn for a while. In fact, the bulk of like when I first started in my first month, I got a ton of appointments just from using LinkedIn. It's so easy. Just have a conversation with these people,
Yeah.
build some rapport, have a nice funnel set up with your LinkedIn page and stuff like that. Problem was that it was just I was getting really bad quality because you can't really vet them. You don't know if they're the right type of fit beforehand. Whereas with a cold call is direct response, so you can immediately start chatting to them, ask them a few questions, and then book them in. So cold calling was the main way for me. That was the fastest way because it's direct response. You can get a ton of appointments booked in back to back quite quickly. And so it's that was the main way that we started to scale. That was the main system. That was the main outbound system anyway that we used.
Yeah, love it, man. And with cold calling specifically, Jamil,
Yeah.
talk to me about the transition from basically being a one-man band where, like you said, like
Mm.
you're a killer at cold calls. I know you got
Yeah.
sales experience. This is easy to you,
Yeah.
but the problem here is you're just stuck on the phones all day. So how did you make that transition from doing cold calls yourself
Yeah.
to now having a team do it? And it'd be great to hear your perspective on this because I'm not used to hearing this where, again, most of the clients, you know how it is when it comes to DM
Yeah.
sourcery and stuff where it doesn't require someone on the phone, it's
Yeah.
quite easy to outsource. So it'd be
Oh yeah,
great to hear your perspective on how you actually transition from doing cold calls yourself to then having a team successfully do it.
of course. The main thing is I've seen so many agency owners do this. They'll come in and they'll immediately try and just get a team of setters in place, or they'll immediately try and get whatever in place. And it's fine. I get why you're doing that because you don't want to do it. The problem is how are you going to train them? How are you going to critique what they're doing? How are you
That's
going to
it.
know if what they're doing is right? My key thing was like the way that I transitioned out of it. I'm, when it comes to cold calls, tens of thousands of cold calls done, either at previous roles that I've had in the past, and now eventually my own agency, thousands and thousands and thousands of cold calls. I've ripped through lead sheets like tomorrow, right? And the thing is that the main thing is that all you want to do is build the skill set first so that you can effectively manage whoever comes in afterwards. If you don't know how to do the skill yourself, you're never going to be able to, you're not going to know what a good cold caller is. I have a hygiene standard. So, for me, if I was doing a day of cold calling, I would at least minimum try and book myself at least 5 to 7 appointments, right? On the low end, just at least get 5 to 7 appointments every single day of cold calling, right? So I wouldn't look at the amount of cold calls I needed to do. I looked at the amount of bookings I was getting because cold calls are a waste of time, right? No one cares if I've done 3 hours of cold calls. I didn't book anything. So eventually what ended up happening was I started learning exactly what kind of language you need to speak to your prospect,
Yeah,
understanding what they want to hear. You get better at understanding what kind of questions to ask them. You get more comfortable with having conversations with them, etc., etc. When it came time to hire, I was already getting close to about 10,000 a month, right? Myself with just booking these appointments in. I got on the phone with, potential setters for the team, and I knew exactly what to look out for. I knew exactly what to ask them, what kind of experience they need, and things like that. And so some of the guys that I've got on the team, by the way, in my kind of Slack channels internally, our team channels and stuff like that, these guys started with like very little experience. But I knew that there were certain things that I was looking out for that they displayed in maybe other roles that they've had that I thought, yes, this is a transferable skill and they're going to be good on the phones. Bro, these guys are now booking each maybe 7 appointments, 3 appointments every single day minimum.
there we
And
go.
so do you know what I mean? So I've got now a nice system, and these guys are incentivized properly. They're taught by me, so I can properly do call reviews with them. I can break down, recordings of when they've spoken to clients, and I can give them good feedback. And from when they started 3 months ago, maybe to now, night and day, they're way better than they were.
There
And
you
that
go.
comes from
Yeah.
learning the skill yourself. That comes from understanding the dynamics of whatever system you're trying to outsource. So that's kind of how I did it and how I transitioned out of it. I got 1 or 2 setters in. I was still cold calling myself, by the way.
Yeah.
at the time. I was still doing the cold calls
Yeah.
because I don't know if these guys are going to perform.
Lead
I
by
don't.
example as
Yeah,
well. It's like, yo, let me
exactly.
show you how it's done.
Yeah, so I was booking in a bunch of appointments. These guys were booking in with me. Eventually, it got to a point where it was like they were booking enough appointments where I was like, you know what? I've got enough appointments to go off. I can now remove myself. So
Mm,
eventually, it was like less hours on the cold calls, and then eventually, I moved away from it completely when I
perfect.
felt comfortable with these guys. So yeah, that's kind of how I moved away from
That segment you done, 10/10. Like
that.
that deal, that whole description, man,
Yeah,
it's amazing because it's what I've always said in not just EasyGrow, but
yeah,
even prior to, running ops for EasyGrow, even in my own journey prior to EasyGrow with running an agency, we
yeah,
spoke where like you need to earn the right to outsource. So
absolutely.
to people watching this, right? The reason why Jameel is so successful um is because he got his hands dirty. And Jameel, it's funny, we were speaking about getting your
Yeah,
hands dirty, right?
literally.
Jameel, like the from what you described, Jameel, you went as specific as saying, I learned the language to
Yeah,
speak to my market. This
yeah,
isn't no, standard framework.
exactly.
I learned the buzzwords and the keywords, right?
Absolutely. You have to because like
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I know people, right, that may have started agencies or you see it all the time, they'll immediately get like five setters on board and the setters won't be booking anything every single day, right?
yeah.
And it happens because the leader or whoever's training them is not, well, number one, training them at all because they don't know how to do it themselves. Number two, there's no hygiene standards. So with me, if I'm booking 5 or 7 appointments per day, I need my setters to be booking at least 4 or 5 a day or 3 a day at
There
minimum,
you
right?
go.
My hygiene standard at my company is I need you to be booking at least 3 to 4 appointments per day. That's a hygiene standard. And I know it's doable because I can do it myself. And with enough training from me, you should be able to do it as well. And it gets down to like, I'm a very, like I said, detail oriented. And
Yeah,
so language, the words you're saying, it's not a lot of the time on the phones, for example, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying
how
it
you say it.
because there's a trillion other agencies saying the exact same thing. How you're saying it is like the differentiating factor. So yeah, it comes down to language, tonality, cadence. All of this stuff makes a big difference, and people don't understand that. And that's the thing, when if you just hire from the jump, what are you going to know about tonality and cadence? What are you going to know about
There
kind
you
of like
go.
actually like the offer? What are you going to know about actually jumping on the phone and the framework that you need to have when it comes to closing an appointment, right?
Yeah,
And getting them booked in. So
exactly.
I definitely recommend like everyone who is thinking about outsourcing, make sure you understand the skill first and you will be able to lead by example. Your troops are going to be they're going to be able to rally behind you because they're going to understand that the guy we've got in front knows how to do this and he's training us and he's a position of authority, I guess, at the
There
end
you
of it.
go.
So
I think Jamil, you know what's happened in the space as well, where it's died down, but there was a period, I think, maybe last year or 2 years ago,
mm,
some people were just recommending,
yeah,
oh yeah, start this agency, hire a media buyer,
yeah,
leverage their media buyers, and get
yeah,
clients,
yeah,
do the sales, the media buy, and it's like that what you're doing there is you give up a lack of control and power and a sense of security because you
exactly.
don't know how to deliver results. And the same principle applies to your situation here in cold calling.
Yeah,
Any position that you hire for, right? You need some skin in the game. You need to know
yeah,
how to deliver results,
absolutely.
else you're not going to know how to assess the quality of your media buyer's work. You
Yeah,
need to understand how to cold call. Else, like
definitely.
Jamil said here, you don't have a hygiene standard, so then you're going to end up asking, man, what should my set? You
Yeah,
should know
exactly.
that. Like,
You should
so
know. Yeah.
it's like, if you haven't done it yourself and you're trying to outsource work, it's gonna come, crashing down. And again, you've mentioned it, Jamil. Obviously, I see it quite, easily, especially with a lot of beginners where it's like, let's
Yeah.
get into business, let's go the easy route. I
Yeah,
don't
let's
want to do
just
sales calls, I don't want to do appointment setting, I don't want to do
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
It's like
guys, come on,
I just want to collect the money. And it's
isn't
like
there we
that
go.
it's just it's a wrong mentality. And on the flip side, just for everyone as well,
Yeah.
um, I've been in the position of not knowing how to do something and then outsourcing it
Yes.
too early.
Go into that, Jamil, please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like media buyers, I didn't know how to run the ads myself, and from the jump, I'm a sales guy, so I understand how to sell, I understand how to talk, I understand how to build offers, marketing, all that kind of stuff. What I don't understand is how to actually run the ads and fulfill the service. So what I did was just find a really good media buyer and outsource it to them. And I didn't know if what he's doing is good or if it isn't good until I had someone from external have a look at what's going on. And so for months, I want to tell you, like bro, when we were spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a media buyer and the results just weren't, the clients weren't getting the results that they were looking for. And I was like, well, why is this happening? It's because I don't have a clue of what's going on in service delivery. He could be doing anything and I just don't really know about it. And I don't know if the quality of his work is good or if it isn't. And so until I learned it myself, now we run the ads ourselves. Now we do that ourselves. Now I've got someone internally that we have trained to do the ads, that
Yeah.
we have trained on service delivery, right? And they provide a really good job compared to like just outsourcing it from day one and then just falling short afterwards. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Amazing.
you get both sides of it. So that's kind of the, the good and the bad, because I've spent, thousands of dollars on media buyers that just don't really provide the results, and it's
Yeah.
because I don't know what I'm looking for.
And that this is another thing as well to everyone listening, and also to Jameel here. What it could have been even worse, to the point where
Yeah.
maybe they're generating mediocre results, and you think that's this standard.
Yeah. And you think it's good.
It's like you think it's good because of your lack of experience. And similar to cold calling, right? Let's just say you weren't such a great cold caller, Jamil. If one of your setters is giving you like one appointment a day, you're probably
Oh
thinking,
yeah.
wow, that's amazing. Like that is,
Yeah, I know. It's like you'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, I've got an appointment today, bro." Like you need to have the calendar like stacked because not every sale's gonna pull through. You get one appointment, it's
yeah,
not guaranteed to close it. You need volume. You need volume. Sales is I think everything comes down a little bit to a numbers game eventually,
yeah,
and you need volume. And so, when you get a setter who's just booking up one or two appointments because you can't book appointments yourself, you can be like, "Oh wow, he books one appointment per day."
yeah,
And you think that's really good, but it's not. And you're limiting the amount that you could be scaling because you are just completely unaware of like what you could be doing and what potential you could
yeah.
have. So
That's literally it. And to everyone watching this and listening, it also stems back to the fact that obviously me and Jamil were just having a laugh about 20-hour days or whatever, right? And
yeah,
it is funny, and obviously it's not recommended, but the lessons you learn in those days where you're doing all the work yourself, it's the
yeah,
reason why Jamil here is doing interviews with setters and knows exactly what to look for,
yeah.
interviewing a media buyer knows exactly what to look for because he figured out himself.
Yeah, 100%. You gotta have the skill set. And like, when you're up to like when you're up all night working all day and you're doing those kind of 20 hours, like I don't think I've ever worked like 20 hours in a day, but
Yeah,
you know what
probably
I mean?
exaggeration.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like working
Yeah,
literally from the minute I wake up, like literally first thing I was doing when I was like a couple of months back, grabbing my laptop straight away and checking my second phone to see like if any clients have left, any problems, any fires I need to put
yeah,
out, and then working all the way until the end of the day. And it's just like it's extremely draining, but
yeah,
if you can push through that and you build those skill sets and you actually, build some sales skills, you build marketing skills, you build service delivery know-how, all this kind of stuff, that's where you build it. You build it in the trenches, just like having to figure it out and just doing it by yourself. And then I promise you, when you start scaling and you start hiring people out, it's so much easier. Your life is 10 times easier because you went and did those 12-hour days, those 15-hour days. And now when you're only having to do one thing that you really enjoy, which for me is like the sales side,
yeah,
now it becomes enjoyable. Now it's like now I can actually focus on scaling and growing a business rather than just, doing all these little mundane tasks of
yeah.
finding leads and all this kind of stuff.
There
So
we go. And it's even like the same with like with us, for example, where
yeah,
like when it was just Charlie and Bo,
mm,
Charlie was literally sending manual looms before like he figured out Terminator. He was
literally.
doing it. He
Yeah.
was doing the sending, he was
Yep.
finding the leads and whatnot. He was handling it. So when he hired, he knew what he's looking for. He was also doing sales schools.
Yeah.
So guess what? When he hired reps, he knew what the minimum KPI is. He knew
Exactly.
what you should be hitting. He disregarded the excuses that
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
used to receiving about lead quality and that
No,
all that stuff because it doesn't exist to him.
it
And
doesn't.
similar with Bo, right?
Yeah.
Bo's in the operations side. So when I was hired, and I'm running the operations side, because Bo's been there, done that. He's now looking at me saying, "Yep, no,
Yeah.
unacceptable. That mistake, that," and he's right because guess what? He knows the quality that I should aim for because he's
Yeah.
already set. So
Exactly.
it's a it's a massive one where you don't
Definitely.
want to get into business and just outsource everything from the get-go.
Well, another thing is your team that you hire, they're not, is the reason why, like, how you're saying with Charlie and Bo, for example, is
Mhm.
because they built out the systems as well. So when he
Mm.
figured out Terminator, now he's got a system to give you guys,
Yeah,
right? To give his team. He's got a sales system already in place that he knows works because he's tried and tested it. Your setters, your media buyer is never going to improve your business for you. right?
Yeah.
So if you've got shit systems already in place and you know the systems that you've got are not really good, they're not going to come in and audit your system for you and make it better. They're not going to come and improve your business for you. They're going to do what you tell them to do and they're going to go pack up and they're going to go home,
That's
right?
exactly it.
And that's yeah, and that's literally so you're never going to have growth in the business unless you cause that growth yourself. You have to be intentional about it. And staff that you outsource things to are never going to sit there and think, let me try and scale Jameel's business for him.
There we go.
Let me improve sales, blah blah
Let
blah,
me prove
for
it.
Jameel, so he can hit. It's never going to happen. So you need to do it yourself. You have to
Yeah.
get in the trenches for a short while, but when
Yeah.
you climb out, then it becomes a lot easier.
That's it. And like I'm obviously on the operation side of our business, and I'm always looking at other coaches and whatnot to learn from consuming their content. And there's someone
Absolutely.
called Ryan Dace, and
Mm,
he actually mentioned in a YouTube video where a common theme with a lot of business owners, right, and it relates to what we're just talking about here,
mm.
is that they need to hire A players to fix their business. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
no, you need proper systems in place
yeah,
yourself first, because when you bring in an A player or anyone in that matter to try and fix things, they're
yeah,
just going to mess things up because there's nothing competent in place
exactly.
to begin with. And then
Yeah,
you're going to be left confused.
yeah, you're just going to be it's not conducive to like actually scaling your business, and you're relying too much on other people. You're
Yeah,
leaving
that's
yourself
it.
at the whim of their abilities. If they're
Yeah,
not good at closing appointments, well then you're not going to close any you're not going to get any deals on the line because
there
you've
we
got no
go.
appointments coming in. So you're completely at the mercy of their skill set, and because you don't have enough knowledge on it yourself, you're never going to be able to improve it. So it's all about I definitely recommend start off yourself, get a couple of clients in, figure out the systems, build the foundations, and then just add people into it right afterwards. Um, and you don't have to wait long. If you do things right, you can do it quite quickly. Like in my case, it wasn't, I only did a few months of cold calling for myself, call it about 2 months worth of cold calling, hardcore every single day, until I then eventually outsourced it a little bit and then moved away. So it doesn't take long if you just build the skill
Yeah,
and have the systems in place. That's it. That's your barrier to entry when it comes to
yeah,
hiring, I would say.
killer stuff, man. And staying on the topic of just systems, Jamil.
Mm.
So just staying on this, obviously before you joined the program, you're a one-man band.
Yeah.
So how does the team look now, beyond the appointment setting? So it's you've got a team for appointment setting now and
Yep.
called that's systemized, which is amazing.
Correct. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you've got?
Yeah,
Anything
absolutely.
else?
So yeah, so we've got a bunch of different staff members. So we've got obviously the sales side and then we've got the service delivery side.
Yep.
So there's two sides of the business, right? And they're both different, very different roles. But on the sales side, obviously we've got our setters, we've got closers, and now we've on the service delivery side, we've got virtual assistants that work for us. We've got a client success manager, so a dedicated client success manager. So they're not contracted out. It's a dedicated client success manager that
Mhm.
works for us. We've also got people who work on the media buying side of things, right? Like I said, staff that we have trained up and taught, instead of just outsourcing it to a media buyer.
Yep.
We've got staff members internally that wanted to take on more responsibilities, and we've now taught this to.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's now started to grow from service delivery. You've got your virtual assistants, you've got your on the service delivery side of things, you've got setters as well, who might be appointment setting for our clients. You've got the media buyers as well, and then you've got client success, right? So client success, making sure that there's good communication with the clients, making sure that they're well looked after, we're hitting KPIs, etc., etc.
Yeah,
And then sales is basically the side that I would lead more than anything else. So sales is led by me, and then we've got closers and then appointment setters as well. So that's kind of the dynamic we've got going on right now. And then one or two admin as well.
yeah, love it, man. From a one-man
Yeah.
band to
What?
bloody
Yeah, there's
fulfillment
about,
team,
yeah,
sales team.
yeah, there's about I think there's about 12 to
Yeah,
15 right now total working. Some of them are part-time, some of them
yeah,
are full-time. So not everybody's kind of on a full-time schedule.
yeah.
And with my setters, they're incentivized that listen, if you hit a certain amount of appointments for the day, take the rest of the day off.
That's
So it's
it.
like, yeah, so it's not like they sat there 20 hours a day just working on
Yeah,
this. It's all
just
like,
just ringing up
yeah, just
themselves.
ringing up for
That's
people.
it. Love it, bro. Amazing. So Jamil, obviously with the program, man,
Yeah,
as you're already aware, there's a lot in it where the videos on the different topics,
for sure.
coaching calls on different topics. You got the
Yeah,
group call as well. You've been with us for like I think 5 months now. Yeah, it's been 5 months.
yeah.
Is there anything specific that you love about the program that stands out amidst everything else? Like, is there anything that you really love beyond anything else?
100%. Yeah. So like I've been involved with different programs before. I was telling you that, previously I worked at Iman Gaji's company. So I was working on the success team. And basically on that side of things, I've seen what good systems look like, what good programs look like. I've seen, how other companies manage their students or manage their staff and things like that. And so when I came into this, like, I already had expectations of what it would be. And when I came in, it exceeded those expectations. Like I said, the level of detail, the amount of topics that are hit, like it goes into detail on not just cold calling, for example, it goes into detail on, other systems like Loom, email, DMs, things like that. There's outbound and there's inbound systems as well.
Yeah.
Ads, how to run ads, how to get people coming to you and booking a meeting, organic growth. There's so much that's actually hit inside the program. And there's a lot of knowledge that you can learn, even if it's just on a fundamental basis, right? The program teaches in detail, but what I really like about it is that it teaches you the fundamentals and then builds on top of it. So like I said, even if you've got no knowledge on DM setting or no knowledge on running ads, it will show you from start to finish of how to do it. And there's so much support inside as well, that you're never really going to be lost. You can always message, like even Noor, like the amount that we've been DMing back and forth. You've had a lot of good insight for me. You've provided a lot of help for me, and you do it for so many other students inside as well. And that's what I like about the program. There's a lot of support. You don't ever feel like you're alone in there, because there's so many other students as well that you can always ask. There's other people
Yeah.
that might be a couple of steps ahead, right? Who are at 50K a month, 100K a month, and you can always reach out to them as well. So it's pretty cool the way it's set up. I really enjoyed. I've really got there's nothing bad that I can really think about the program itself. Like, and I'm being serious because I've been through a fair few,
Yeah.
fair few programs in the past, and like this is, it goes into the right amount of detail, and it was kind of one stop for me. This was like, had everything that I needed to grow to the
Yeah.
point that I'm now at, hitting almost 30K a month now.
Yeah, amazing stuff, man. And I'm super, super happy to hear that. And with regards to you, Jameel, from when we spoke, it looks like you've mainly just gotten stuck into the content, asked some questions in group, and just blew up. Did you
Yeah,
did you join any of the coaching calls yet, or
I
have you
have.
been to
Yeah,
them?
I've been to a
Nice.
lot. Service delivery calls is what I went to. So sales calls, not so much.
Yep.
Obviously, like I've got a fair bit of experience in sales
You don't need it
before
pretty
this.
much. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, I've watched all of the sales videos, by the way. In the program, there's never, you can never not know. You don't know what you don't know. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I was always, going through the sales program. So it wasn't something that was like a point of like, I need to take time out to get some additional help with, or I have some questions. At least not now. Um, but with the service delivery, them were the coaching calls that I was joining, because that's one thing, like I said, I didn't know. Having to hire a media buyer, stuff like that, I didn't know service delivery. And so I was joining some of the coaching calls with, I think it was Jimmy that was
Uncle
running them.
Jimmy. Yeah, we
Yeah,
call him
yeah,
Uncle Jimmy. There we
yeah.
go.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to some of those coaching calls, media buying, learning how to run the ads, asking questions there. And a lot of the time I would be conversing with other students in the program who might be a little bit ahead of me as well. So talking to them, asking some questions in the chat, but just getting stuck in as well, because you do, like, you're not going to have questions until you actually try it. So it's like, you could learn it as much as you want, but until you try and implement it, that's
Yeah,
when I started having questions, and that's when I would start reaching out to people like yourself, and then,
yeah, yeah.
things like that. So I didn't need it too much on the sales side. That's something that I enjoy doing out of
Yeah, yeah.
everything agency wise. But on the service delivery, that's where it came in clutch. So
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of good sales material in there. I didn't feel like I needed it after watching the videos, though. Like
No, no,
yeah,
that's
they're
you
so in
pretty
depth.
much
It
got
was just
that
like
covered. Yeah,
it gives you the
yeah,
program as well gives you so many different frameworks that you can go by, and that's
yeah,
what I liked about it. So yeah,
yeah.
it's super good for support though. There's a lot of support there.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, Jameel, with on the topic of like you didn't necessarily need sales, you just needed help with service delivery, you joined the coaching
Yeah,
calls, and you also needed a better way to understand systems. So obviously you finished
definitely.
Acquisition Genesis. It's
Yes.
like you can join the program, take what you need. And I literally done a client interview yesterday with Thibaut, with a
Yeah.
client called Thibaut, and he said something similar to where he's like, yeah, no, I just needed to understand
Yeah.
systems and how to
Exactly.
build this out.
Yeah.
All needed was just acquisition genesis, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Just helped him rethink,
Yeah.
his approach to certain things,
Yeah.
qualifying people, and all these things.
And that
And
was it.
that's literally it. It's like the
Absolutely. Yeah.
biggest needle, like the thing that moved the needle right forward.
Definitely. Yeah. It's you don't. I think a lot of the time, you go into analysis paralysis, like I said, of like,
Yes.
oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Just, focus on one thing, master one thing, move on to the next. So for me, I wanted to master sales. That's the first thing that I decided to go and master, because that's, one of the most important things of running a business. You're going to need some sort of like cash flow coming in. And so sales was the first thing that I was focusing on when I came here. Sales was something that I knew I would be closing deals. I knew regardless I'm going to be closing deals. So that's not the problem. Closing clients is not the issue. I know that's going to come. I need
Yeah.
system service delivery. How do I scale it? How do I grow it? How do I build a team? Those are the things that I was looking for. And if you're looking, and it shows like mindset, I guess, differences. A lot of people, they're just trying to get the sale. They're just trying to get the close, right? But they're not thinking in the long term of how do I scale this now? Okay,
Yeah.
cool, you've closed one. That's great. And that's where I was at. But when I closed like 2, 3 clients in a week, before I came into EasyGrow. And I was just sat there and I was just thinking, okay, cool, I've got these clients, but I don't know how long they're going to stick around for. Number one,
Yeah.
retention. And then number two, how do I scale past that? Because I don't just want to be stuck at 3 clients. I want to
Yeah.
grow past that. And so that was the main thing for me. It was a more of a long-term play. I was thinking about how do I scale this in the long term across a space of 4 months, 6 months, 12 months. How do I do that? So it wasn't just how do I close the next deal? How do I close the next deal? So yeah, it's a little bit different. And so I didn't really need much on the sales side. It was
Yeah.
more so how do I build the systems out? How do I build a proper business out of this? That's what
Yeah.
I was looking for.
There we go. And Jameel, in terms of yourself from an identity standpoint, right?
Yeah,
How does Jameel, let's say version one, prior to joining the program, look compared to the version I'm speaking to right now
yeah,
in terms of, limiting beliefs that you may have had, your
yeah,
paradigm,
yeah,
just your way of thinking, like what's the difference in identity shift that you had to go through to
yeah,
ultimately achieve the systems and the business that you have now? Because prior to joining, it just sounded like you were just like we described, locked in one man army.
yeah,
Now it's
yeah.
like you've evolved massively.
I think the main thing that I've gotten now is, I guess the best way I could put it is peace of mind.
Hmm.
That's the one thing that I really like value now, that I think the biggest change or the pivot that I've had from when I joined. There's so much more, because when I was first starting, like you said, one man band, just running at it, just taking everything on by myself, doing everything by myself, from generating my own leads to then calling them, setting the appointments, taking the sales calls, service delivery, all of it, right? And then maybe having a media buyer on the side as well. Um, I guess the thing that I've got now, and the main difference with me personally, is that I just there's confidence that you build in building out those skill sets and those systems.
Yeah.
Now I'm confident that literally, regardless what happens, I'm going to close more deals. I'm going to scale. It's going to keep on growing now at the pace that it's going, and I can speed that up. There's so much more peace of mind. I'm not sat here, usually on a Saturday, bro, I would be sat here cold calling. That's what we're doing for the day, right? And that
Yeah.
was my Saturday about 4 months ago, right? 4 or 5 months ago, that was my Saturday. And so I would just be sat here all day. Saturday is just an extension of the week, just
Yeah.
working literally from nine till 6, 7, because
Yeah.
that's the times that you can do on cold calls, I guess. And so anyway, the main thing that I've got now is like peace of mind. I don't have to worry
Nice.
too much. I'm not constantly on edge. I'm more confident in my service delivery. I'm more confident in my business itself. Like when I first started, I felt like I had something to prove to
Mm.
clients, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now my results from my previous clients speak for itself,
Yeah.
right? And there's more confidence that when I jump into a call now, I'm not on the back foot. When I jump
Love
onto
it.
a call with a client and I'm trying to close them, I'm not on the back foot. I've got testimonials, I've got case studies, I've got all kinds of stuff now. And there's confidence in knowing your system works as well. There's
Yeah.
confidence there. And
Different.
so, yeah, so now there's been a lot of changes. And I would say I already had these things, right? I already had the confidence to jump on the sales call, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, now it's a lot more dialed in. Now it's a lot more, it feels more like a business now. Whereas
Yeah.
previously it just felt like, I was more, I guess that saying of like you're self-employed. That's all
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Previously it wasn't really a business. It was just I was self-employed. I was just doing a bunch of stuff for a couple of clients,
Yeah.
and so. But now it feels like a business. Now there's teams in place. Now there's systems in place, and
Yeah.
the growth is there as well.
There we go, man. Amazing. And Jamil, one question I always like to ask clients, and I always get the same similar mundane response, because the problem with you business owners is you're always at like 99 miles per hour or per second even,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
my question is this: have you taken the time to simply pause and just reflect on how far you've come? And, how does it feel having this peace of mind that you got now? Because, like we were just speaking,
yeah,
you're at a point where 5K per month, you're doing everything.
yeah,
And you're working Saturdays, and I wouldn't
yeah.
be surprised if you told me you're working Sunday. You
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
working
yeah,
Sundays.
yeah. I was doing Sundays as well. So service
Yeah,
delivery, bro.
there,
Trying
there we
to yeah.
go.
So
There we go. And now you're here today where you breathe in, the business is good, you got a team. Like,
yeah,
have you reflected? That's number one. And number two, man, just how does it feel? Just talk to me in that regard. And
yeah,
the reason why I say business owners typically give me the same answer every time I do the
yeah,
client interview, they say, "Oh no, I haven't really done it because I'm
yeah,
focused on the next goal."
yeah. I'm
So
focused on something else. Yeah.
there we go.
Well, yeah. No, it actually hit me recently, like literally past few days.
Yeah.
So you a lot changes when you kind of reach these kind of levels
Mhm.
in a business like quite quickly as well. You know, it's not been 2, 3 years of running this business. It's been like literally a couple of months really if you add it all up. And so overall like 5, 6 months in the space, nothing crazy. But basically with this, have I taken time to reflect? Yes. Just recently I was sat down, I was thinking about it, and I was just like, I was just saying to you before, like, you get those memories popping up on
Yeah, yeah, on
Snapchat.
Snapchat. Yeah, yeah.
Bro, like from working in Amazon a couple of years ago in the
Yeah.
warehouses, being working in a hospital, having a degree, all that kind of stuff. Um, Essentially, it was like I was just thinking back to it. Like a year ago, I was working in a hospital,
Yeah, we spoke.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working in the labs in a hospital, biomedical scientist, and I was like, yeah, it was good, but I look back on it now and I'm just like the shift that has taken place, like the amount that we've moved from then to now is crazy. I was just looking back on it and that feeling of like I actually managed to do it. Right? I actually managed to break away from that and I actually managed to build something properly here. It's like it can't be compared to anything else. That freedom, that peace of mind that you have. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm always kind of reflecting back on it because it's a good way to have your mindset grounded as well. When you're constantly thinking back to like, okay, I was there and now I'm here. And you can only be grateful, underline it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, yeah, I reflect on it, quite often, but I'm always moving towards the next goal as well. So I'm always thinking about it. I'm always thinking back, right? Because that's what fuels you going forward, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You
100%.
you look back and you're like, well, I don't want to go back there. So there's only one way to go, and it's like forward. When you're backed up in a corner, there's only kind of one way to go, right? And so always moving forward, always focusing on the next thing, and always moving at, like you said, 90 miles an hour, right? Focus on the next goal, the next milestone. But at
Yeah.
the same time, constantly reflecting, like we've come a long way, we've done
Love it.
well, and not letting you. I get this thing like somebody was saying to me the other day about their agency and they're not at where they want to be yet. And I was like, bro, don't let social media and all this stuff like fool you into
Yes.
don't let
Yes.
it
Yes.
don't let it
Yes.
fool you into thinking that you're not where you want to be, right? Understand that it is a journey and everybody's journey takes different lengths of time. Some people get to 20K in a month, some people get to 20K in like, it's not about a 20, 30K. People do that in like the space of a few months. People do it quicker than others, but at the end of the day, you can't do that. You've got a unique life path. Yeah, you've got your own unique life path. You've been through unique experiences, and you're going to have a different outcome, and it's going to be different time frames. But you've got to be just willing to stick it out. Just stick it out until you manage to get out of it yourself. And for me, it took a while trying different businesses, different models, different things. Eventually landed here, right? And there was a lot of skills that I had to build in the meantime before I got
Yeah.
here. So always reflecting back on it, man, because it keeps you grounded, and it's like well, if I got from there to here, if you make it out of a trench and then you get out of the trenches, now you're like, well, I made it out of a trench, so climbing up this hill isn't too hard.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
So it's
it.
like it can't be
Yeah.
that hard. So it's like it's constant motivation as well. So yeah, always reflecting on that side of things, bro.
Love it. Amazing to hear. And I love what you said about, where it's like, don't compare or in your own
Yeah,
unique path. And I think
yeah,
you've probably seen this, man, because
oh
you
yeah,
when you joined EasyGrow, you achieved some really significant growth in 5 months.
yeah,
But what people they don't see, and even myself before we spoke prior
yeah,
to the interview and now the interview, I didn't know you had significant sales experience
Yeah,
before EasyGrow. I,
yeah,
I didn't know like you
yeah,
had, cold calling and your sales. No wonder why you can get appointments
yeah,
and close deals. And people don't see that. They just assume that, oh, here's Jameel. He just decided to start
yeah.
today, and
No,
that's it.
bro, it was cold calls. It was like jobs. It's like sales experience, door-to-door knocking. When it
Yeah,
comes to like,
there you
yeah,
go.
I've done a lot of sales stuff like in the
Yeah,
past, and then little businesses that you run as well, like flipping cars or something like that.
yeah,
There's little things that you've done that I've done in between. All sales experience, and it's just like people, what you see online is the finished product.
mm,
You don't
yep,
see what
that's it.
had to go into it. Like a lot of these guys are in the online space, you don't know the kind of skills that they had to build. They've got there's a lot of stuff that they had to do to get to that point. And so yeah, overall I would definitely advise people just don't even look at it, just don't even pay attention to it.
Yeah,
Lock in, just get your head into your game, right? And win the game that you're trying to play. You're trying to play by other people's rules, you're going to
no,
lose, right?
every time.
You have to play by your rules, you have to play your game, and you have to win it. And so don't focus on what everybody else has got going on. Just stay in your own lane, focus on what you got. Because like you always see it online, there's people I know personally, right, that are, doing X, Y, Z, they've got this, they've just bought a new
Yeah,
whip,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And you sat there thinking, when am I going to have that? And that's a normal question to ask.
Mhm.
But you shouldn't be like, don't let that bog you down and be like,
Yeah,
oh, well, I didn't get to XYZ in this amount of time.
yeah, yeah,
It's coming, bro. Just build the skill sets. I promise you, it's 100%
yeah,
achievable. But don't be listening, just block out all the noise.
exactly.
It's a you,
And
it's just you. Yeah.
I've been guilty of that as well, and I'm sure you've been guilty of it. But when you
Oh
actually
yeah.
speak to these people and they tell you the full story, they're like you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't know the
Yeah.
work that wasn't showing. It was
Yeah.
obviously no one wants to show those long nights because why would they, right? It's
Why
like,
would you show that? It's not. It's
that's it.
not.
So it all
Yeah.
makes sense. There we go, man. Amazing. So, Jamil, as we wrap up this interview, man, one final question for you specifically.
Yeah.
25K per month right now.
Hmm.
We're nearing 30K per month.
Yeah.
What's the next big milestone for you? Where do you want to be? Let's just say in 12 months.
I think realistically in 12 months, I'd want to be, at around six figures a month with
Hmm.
this, right? If I'm not there, right, at the end of the day, what I want to be is extremely close to it. I
Yeah.
think with the growth that we're having right now, it's very achievable to get to, 100K a month with an agency. It's definitely doable, especially just building the service delivery and providing proof of concept as well, testimonials, case studies, all that stuff. I think by the time, 12 months, if we're talking 12 months, yeah, I would want to be at multi, I would want to be at six figures
Yeah.
a month with this. And that's a goal that I've got in mind. So we'll keep on pressing it. Acting like the same way I was acting when I started this on day one, bro. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Send
don't
it.
take your feet off the pedals. Just
That's
keep
it.
firing it, and then yeah, we'll see where we end up. But 100K is kind of the goal where I want to be at in
There
12
we
months
go,
time.
man. Holding you accountable. I'm gonna stay on you on WhatsApp and obviously speak, man. So yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna have a part two as soon as that clears, and
of
that'll be
course,
so. Jamil, as
definitely.
we wrap this one up now, with there's
Yep.
usually two groups of people that watch these interviews.
Yep.
First, which is existing clients in
Mm.
Easy, right?
Yep.
And then the second of which are people that have yet to become a customer. They probably want to think about it. They probably don't
Yep.
know much about it, and they're just here to hear your perspective on things. So
Yep.
let's start off with the people that are an existing client, right?
Okay.
Uh, what key tips would you give them to succeed from your experience working with us? Like, what are the key things you'd say to them?
I know it sounds somewhat vague, but I'll try and flesh it out here. I've been mentioning the word skill sets a lot.
Hmm.
Just build the skills, get good at it, get good at what you are trying to do, right? The reason why I'll give the example as myself. The reason why I might not be at 100K a month right now is because I don't have the skill set, systems, and teams in place to be at 100K a month, right? We're at 30K a month, just shy of 30K a month. What you want to do is build the skills, and the marketplace, and the marketplace will reciprocate what you are valued in that marketplace. So if you don't have the skill sets of sales, build that up, spend the time. Everybody's like focused on the end result, the watches, the car, whatever, right? Focus on the end result, but we're not focused on, like, we just think that this is magically going to happen. It's not. There's no accident to a lot of any other student interviews that you guys might be watching. There's no accident to it. That it's calculated, it is intentional, and what you need to do is build those skill sets. Now if you're wondering, how do I build a skill set? Well, how much time do you spend actually learning? Read books. There's so many books on sales. There's so many books on, actually scaling and growing businesses. There's Charlie's program as well. There's so much support that you have. You have the information. The one thing that I do not excuse people on in this day and age is information. There's
Yeah.
information everywhere. We have information, bro, at the tip of our fingers. And so literally there's no excuse on that I don't know what to do or I don't know where to find
Yeah.
this information. It's out there. Spend the time just building the skills now. If you're not good at sales, for example, just start getting appointments booked in and just start taking the sales calls.
Yeah.
Whether or not it closes or not, it doesn't matter. Just get in the sales
Get the
call,
reps.
record everything, watch your recordings, right? And go over them and start critiquing what you're doing. That's how you're going to get better.
Yeah.
I would say definitely for people who are already existing, like one key thing I'll mention is build these skill sets. So if it's service delivery, start understanding and learning it. Learn it on an intricate level. Become an expert in what you're trying to do, right? Become an expert in sales. Become an expert in marketing. It's funny, like I guess at the end of the day, we're wanting to run a marketing agency. I guess with my example, wanted to run a marketing agency, but didn't know the first thing about marketing.
Mm.
It's like you're not going to get very far with it. You have to build the skills yourself and you have to understand your market unlike everyone else. And you have to try and be better than everyone else as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
understand you're in competition with everybody else.
That's
There's a
it.
lot of other agencies out there that are pitching my clients right now. They're probably getting cold calls every day, but they're with me, right? They
Yeah.
signed up with me instead. And so that's the thing. You're in competition and you need to have differentiating factors as well. Build
Yeah.
the skills, understand your market, understand your niche, and really understand it better than the next guy. If you can line up two of you guys and you are remotely similar in any way, then expect similar results,
Mm.
right? You have to be different. You have to have your client look at yourself from your client's lens, your ideal client, and be like, if I look at myself or I look at the next guy, who would I go with? Which
Yeah.
agency would I go with? And you have to have unique selling points. You have to be unique yourself, I guess.
There
Um,
we go.
I guess the one thing I would say, last thing I will say on that side of things on sales, it's not about being a better salesperson. It's about being a different salesperson.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's about being different. And again, it comes back to it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly. Killer stuff, man. And just a quick one on the skill set stuff, because again, I remember doing an interview with another one of our clients called Dan, and
Mm,
he mentioned to me how he didn't have any
yeah,
skills, like he hated
yeah,
sales calls. Well, guess what? He got the reps in, he took them. Then when we introduced our sales coaching, he
yeah,
was there all the time. We had the sales call audit calls.
yeah,
Guess who was bringing the calls? Dan was bringing his calls every
yeah,
single week. And I think I was present in one of the calls because Vince and Seb, who used to host those audit calls at the time, were in the living room, like it was a team holiday in Dubai, and
yeah,
I was just in the living room just lazing around whilst those two are working on the call.
right.
And I remember hearing Dan saying out loud, "He's like, man, I love sales calls because of you
Yeah,
guys." Like I was
yeah,
just like, yes, there we go. And that's someone who went from no skill set, like you said, Jameel,
yeah.
doesn't like sales, but guess what? Putting the reps to the point where he now enjoys it, but he doesn't just enjoy it, he's very good at it.
It's funny. I've literally been told in the past by people that you're not very good at sales. I've literally been told this. Like this was years ago, but I was told that I'm not very good at sales. You're not naturally very good. You don't have the right blah blah blah, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff you hear. And now I love sales calls. I love it. I'm clearly decent at it. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm bad,
Yeah,
right? I can't be that bad.
you're
But
not bad.
yeah, I'm not bad at it. But basically, like when it comes to sales and stuff like that, like it's just you will start to enjoy things you really, you know, get when you start getting good at something, you'll start to enjoy it
Yeah,
more. That's the
that's
thing.
it.
So I really enjoy it now because I'm good at it now. And at the beginning, I used to hate it. You get all nervous. You don't know what to say. Blah blah, blah all that kind of stuff. But now it's at a point where it's like, yo, just line them up. Just line them up.
That's
I'm
it.
happy to talk to anyone at this point.
Take it. There we go. Love it, man. And the final group of people, obviously, Jameel, it's almost like you're speaking to your old self before you joined the program, right? Maybe
Yeah.
you were thinking about it and whatnot. What would you
Yep.
say to people that are probably on the fence and they may want to think about it, they're a bit hesitant in joining? What would you say
Yep.
to people that aren't a customer yet?
That aren't with EasyGrow yet. So
Yep.
I think, listen, at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to. I mean, you could, but at the end of the day, there is knowledge and expertise and there's access to things that is worth it, right? And at the end of the day, with EasyGrow, for example, there is knowledge and expertise in a group like this that you are not just going to figure out by yourself. This is coming from somebody who's tried. right?
Yeah.
Trying to sit there, trying to figure it out by yourself. And sure, you try and replicate what other people are doing, but you don't know if it's going to work. So a lot of the time when we were trying to build out new sales funnels, or when we were trying to maybe, I don't know, service delivery, whatever, right? Whatever the case is, we try and figure it out. What I have to do is go through this whole period of trial and error for the next 3, 4 months until I figure out that one thing that does work. You can bypass that entire process. And now looking at, like, in this scenario, 4 or 5 months of being with EasyGrow, from going from 5K to just shy of 30, 25K a month, getting close to 30K a month. That didn't happen by accident. That happened because I had the skills that I was building and constantly getting better at. I've improved a lot. I didn't come in with all of these skill sets. I've gotten better. I've gotten sharper. Having the knowledge available, readily available, having the support readily available, that is stuff that you can't discount. So when you're sat there at 11 o'clock at night trying to figure something out by yourself, and there's no one to go to, and you don't know anybody that's actually made it in this industry, something like this comes in clutch, because you don't get to talk to just one person who's made it in the industry. You get to talk to a ton of them,
Yeah.
right? And you get to converse with them and figure out what's worked, what hasn't worked. And again, it bypasses that whole process. Speed is what you'd be buying. You'd be buying speed. You'd be buying speed. You'd be buying knowledge, expertise. And also on this side of things as well, that's not something you can, I wouldn't put, I didn't really think twice about coming into the program. I knew I was in. It was just a logistical thing of making it work of when I wanted to join. And it was like, yeah, I need this. I'm happy to pay for information. I'm happy to pay to speed up, a growth process. Essentially, that is something I will happily pay for. And so if you're thinking about it, you're not investing in the course. You're investing in yourself. You're
Mhm.
investing in skill sets for you, things that you are going to carry for the rest of your life. These sales skills that I've built, or this skill set that I've built now, this is stuff that they can't be taken from me. I could land in any other kind of niche at this point, and I'll probably be able to sign clients quite quickly, and I'll
Yeah.
be able to build out the systems now. Now it's like you become, the high value product at the end of it. So that is what you want to do. You want to take the process, you want to come into the program, absorb as much as you can, start getting the knowledge, and then start building on it and building yourself up, because you are your number one asset at the end of the day. You're the one that's going to scale your business. EasyGrow is not going to do it for you, but it will show you how to. And
Yeah.
you are going to be that main asset that's going to take it there.
Yeah. Killer, bro. Shit. You need to leave your agency, come work with us as a rep or something. You just sold the product with these. But no, that's perfectly put, man. And you know, one thing I always say is I love what you just said there at the end, where
Yeah,
we may not do it for you, but we'll show you how to do it. And
absolutely. Yeah,
people watching this, like, and again, I always say this, and they probably think I'm a broken record with all the client interviews I do,
yeah,
because I finish it like this. I always say, if you're watching this right now and you want a magic pill, and you just think you're gonna buy EasyGrow and you're not gonna do any work, and you
yeah,
think you can hire setters and whatnot, and
yeah,
nothing's required, and boom, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Rolex, whatever, this is not for you.
yeah,
Full transparency. And if you do find that magic pill where no work is required, send it send it my way. I'd love to see it. But if you are willing to put in the work, just like Jameel has here, and follow a proven framework, have proven support structures in place, right? Where you can get help and you don't have to spend 11 p.m. at night alone thinking,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Obviously you can try and message at 11 at night.
yeah,
We'll probably get back to you the next day. But if you want to follow a proven framework and you're willing to do the work, then a program would be a perfect fit for you. But if you want that magic pill where no work's required, again, this is just not it. I wish it was, but I don't know any product that is. And if you do find that, please let me know. And Jameel, it comes back to what we spoke about earlier, where social media, I've seen it quite prominent with the younger audience, the teenagers. They see on social media all the good stuff and whatnot, and they think no work's required. I can get it instantly, but no, work
yeah.
is required.
I mean, be ready for pain. Understand that there's
Yep.
pain involved. There's going to be
Here we
pain with
go.
it. If you're not willing to go through the pain and you want comfort, well, then there is a life of comfort out there where you can live comfortably. But
Yeah,
if you want something exceptional, you're gonna have to go through some exceptional sorts of pain.
there
And
we go.
that's the key thing. Other than skill sets, the main thing that I would advise is just be ready for pain. Be ready for discomfort. Be ready for those, you're gonna get some anxiety. I'm not
Yeah,
somebody, I'm somebody that's quite confident, but trust me, when you've got clients paying you, you're going to get a little bit of anxiety here and there. You're going to start thinking at night. So it's like,
yeah,
you want to be prepared for that, and it's not an easy process. It really isn't. It's hard. It's constantly, doubting yourself, doubting your own abilities, blah blah blah. But if you just push through it and you stick through it, then it's there for you. It's there.
There we
It's
go.
there for the taking.
Yeah. And it's like that quote where it's like death by 10,000 cuts, but in this instance,
Yeah,
success by 10,000 cuts.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
going to be
literally.
painful, but by the
Yeah,
10,000th cut, you trust me, you're all good, all
you're
right?
bulletproof. You're bulletproof at that point, bro.
There we
Yeah,
go. Sweet. So, Jameel, where can people find you, man, if they want to keep up with you? I know you mentioned,
yeah.
before we recorded, you got Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can find me on Instagram. It's Jameel._Hussein.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of the main place you can find me right now. YouTube channel probably on the way. But for now, just the
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, he's just hammering the phones, man. You don't need
Yeah,
no
in the first one.
YouTube.
Yeah, too busy. I don't have time to film the lifestyle stuff yet. Soon. Soon.
So there we go. There we go. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. For everyone watching, really good interview. I think we just went over an hour, but it's been an absolute killer one with Jameel. And if there's one thing that you can take away from this, again, please understand that Jameel, he said a lot of valuable things, but the key thing and the key theme is just getting stuck in yourself, getting your hands dirty yourself, starting from zero in any skill set, right, Jameel,
Yeah,
and just figuring it out. So with Jameel, for example, sales, obviously he had sales before he started the agency, but guess what? Before even signed the agency, he still had to learn sales in the other roles he was in. He got good to that point, cold calling, figuring out the language in 2 months, hammering the phones Monday to Sunday, figuring out how to book appointments with realtors, service delivery. Even if there's one thing you can take away from this, it's just getting your hands dirty and earning the right to outsource so you have power. And yeah, again, to reiterate, if you are someone that's watching this and you haven't joined the program yet, or you're thinking about it, um, and you're willing to put in the work, like I said, there's no reason why this can't be a good fit, provided, of course, your business does make sense. If, however, you aren't willing to put in the work and you've been sold a dream where no work's required and you think this is a magic pill, again, I've got to give you a precaution. I've got to give you a warning. This is not a magic pill. Work is required. And Jameel, just like all the other clients I interview and all the other clients I interviewed, not just by myself, but some of the reps and even Charlie,
yeah,
they put in the work. So yeah, I'm going to leave Jameel's Instagram in the description below. So be sure to follow him and keep an eye out for part two in hopefully a year's time, man. We'll see
definitely.
Jameel again, and it'll be good to see where he is at. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.